Women's groups immediately intensified their political activities. During the 1920s, the League of Women Voters, under its first president, Belle Sherwin, became a bipartisan group to teach women how to use their new rights. The Cleveland League was the first to poll candidates on issues and to publish their responses. The League continues to be in the forefront of political reform today. The Consumers League of Ohio worked to regulate child labor and to pass compulsory school attendance laws. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, women such as Elizabeth McGee and Marie Remington Wing, one of the first two women elected to City Council in 1923, worked to establish unemployment insurance and more humane relief measures. During World War II, Rosie the Riveter became a byword for the contribution of women in making America the arsenal for democracy. Large numbers of Cleveland women entered heavy industry to build tanks for the war. Women also volunteered for the Red Cross, rolling bandages and knitting sweaters, but unlike earlier efforts during the Civil War and World War I, no outstanding female organizational leaders emerged. Indeed, the roles formerly filled by women's voluntary organizations were performed by government agencies mainly staffed by men. But inroads were being made on the political front. Jean Muriel Capers became the first black woman city council person in the U.S. in 1949. She remained in city council for 10 years. In 1977, she became a municipal judge. Feminism was quiescent until the 1960s, paralleling the civil rights movement as women began to question traditional roles. Cleveland's women's movement played a major role as Ohio became one of the first states to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment after Congress passed it in 1970. Yet it was not ratified by a sufficient number of states, and in 1996, women are still not protected by the United States Constitution. The Cleveland Business and Professional Women's Club and the League of Women Voters helped strike down Ohio laws protecting women from difficult and unsafe working conditions, which were now seen as holding women back with their restrictive clauses. In sharp contrast to 1896, 56% of students now attending universities are women. Employment opportunities have vastly increased, but women graduates still encounter prejudice and restrictions at the higher echelons. In 1975, Women's Space was founded to form a coalition of women groups in existence at that time: the Rape Crisis Center, Cleveland Women's Counseling, the YWCA, the NOW, and Cleveland Women Working. It became a model for the entire country and later helped establish Women Together, one of the first shelters for battered women and their children in the U.S. We of 1996, like you of 1896, love our country and seek its prosperity and perpetuity. In your century, your men marched to victory in 3 great wars. You were ready to defend our country against all the world. In our century, we have fought 2 world wars and many smaller ones. Not just our men, but also our women have served and died in our country's armed forces. You wrote that your 100 years have given the world the locomotive and the steamboat, the telegraph, telephone, photograph, electric lights, and the electric motor. You ask if we have invented a flying machine or found the North Pole. As a matter of fact, we have invented a flying machine. It is commonplace for millions of people to fly on business and for pleasure to all corners of the world. And we have found the North Pole. And not just the North Pole of the Earth, but also the North Poles of the planets Venus and Mars and of our Sun. We have walked on the Moon and landed spacecraft on other planets. We have sent machines beyond the confines of the solar system itself, and women have helped as engineers and as explorers. Our century has given the world many things you probably never dared to imagine. Childhood diseases, measles, mumps, polio, and many others have been virtually eliminated through inoculations. Antibiotics now cure many illnesses, even the dreaded tuberculosis. At the push of a button, we can suck dirt out of our carpets, wash our clothes and dishes, and cook our food. Theater and music come through the air into our living rooms. We have thinking machines that teach our children to read, balance our checkbooks, and send letters and pictures to friends all over the world electronically. With a very few exceptions, the young women of today are bound only by the limits of their own ambition. Just as Judy Resnick has blazed a path for our city's young women to follow into Cleveland's 3rd century, many women of Cleveland's 2nd century laid the groundwork for our own accomplishments. Mary Spargo, who in 1885 was the first woman admitted to the Bar Association. Hazel Mountain Walker, one of the first African-American women admitted to the practice of law in Ohio and first African-American to serve as a Cleveland school principal. Adela Prentice Hughes, musical impresario, founder of the world-renowned Cleveland Orchestra. Florence Allen, first woman Ohio Supreme Court judge, 1922. Dorothy Doan Henry, first chief of the Women's Bureau of the Cleveland Police Department in 1924. Linda Eastman, director of the Cleveland Public Library during its 1925 expansion to Superior Avenue. Mercedes Kottner, appointed to City Council in 1954, subsequent winner of 5 elections, then Clerk of Council from 1964 until 1989. Mary Boyle, first woman Cuyahoga County Commissioner, 1984. Stephanie Tubbs Jones, first African-American woman to serve as Cuyahoga County Prosecutor. Ruth Miller, president of Tower City Enterprises, who beautified downtown Cleveland with lighting the Terminal Tower. These are just some of the things we've done over the past 100 years, dear women of 1896.
Now we would like to ask you, the women of Cleveland of 2096, what have you done? Did you go to college on the moon? Have you discovered a cure for cancer? Do you still grow old? Did you ever run for president? Did you win? What are you doing for the people that live in Cleveland?